Playing live is a young man's game. Now, there was a time when I was, playing B.B. King's. I just got off the road. I was doing 5 nights a week at B.B. King's. Man, it was hard work. It wasn't a ton of money. And, I had to, sometimes every night, somebody would be brought up and I'd have to battle with another guitar player, or I'd have to battle with the sax player on the solo, and, and all this kind of stuff. And man, I just wanted to play my gig. I didn't really want to battle anybody anymore. Man, I'd spent a whole career, trying to blow people's minds. And now I just wanted to play music with feeling and heart and groove. Playing is a young man's game, because ultimately there's always somebody waiting in the wings. There's always somebody waiting in the wings to take your spot. Somebody in the comments, I watched one of my live videos playing with an artist in Nashville. It was like a long video clip of like almost a whole night. And they said, "Oh, you must miss this. I hope you can find a place to play in Florida." And I do miss playing, and I do miss the friendships, and I do miss creating on stage, and I do miss playing with a great band. But towards the end of my run in Nashville, things is almost like I was leaving town, and people were like, "Yeah, get out of here." It was that kind of vibe. It was almost maybe people were jealous that I was leaving. I don't know, man. But you know what? I didn't want to leave Nashville having a bad feeling about it. I had a lot of years of playing great gigs, and almost across the board, playing in Nashville was almost always a good experience. Even the tough gigs where there weren't many people there and you didn't make much money. I always enjoyed playing. I always enjoyed creating. I always enjoyed being on stage with great musicians. It's the real place where you can create. You can rehearse. Victor Wooten, I watched a post, and he is a great philosopher, as well as a bass player. And he was talking about, he doesn't like practicing, and, he likes to play instead, and, and all that kind of stuff. And he said, playing with people is better than practicing. And I will agree with that. And I will step it up to the next level. Playing gigs is worth more than 10 rehearsals. 10 rehearsals, 1 gig. You're going to learn way more of what your true ability is on a gig than sitting in your room. We can all play a lot more advanced stuff sitting on a chair in a room. And that's the one problem I have with internet guitarists is they're able to sit in a comfortable environment, a nice cool temperature, on a nice comfortable chair, and take all the time they want to create the perfect visual, to create the perfect audio take. And then they upload it, and people say, "Oh, that's incredible." But man, try that same level of playing with a band, and then you'll find that your skills will probably be diminished greatly. Playing on stage is the real test of your mettle. METTLE, dude. And the reality is this, man. Hauling in your gear to the gig, working up a sweat. Maybe it's 100 degrees out. Unloading your gear, sweating your ass off, having to bring 2 t-shirts, one to load in the gear and one to wear on stage. And then being on stage, and it's still a hot club, and those lights burning down on you, and you've got people staring at you, and your anxiety is riddled. And then maybe you've got a sub on drums, or maybe the bass player doesn't know the song that you're currently playing, or any number of things that can happen on a real gig. And all of a sudden, all those perfect chops, all that amazing stuff that you are able to sit in a chair and perform in comfort, all of a sudden that stuff gets really hard and playing gets really real. It's real playing. There's many YouTube guys, some that even moved to Nashville. And I thought, oh, great, man. Maybe they'll do a gig. Even if you're not like having to gig to play guitar, playing a benefit concert or playing, sitting in with a band or something. I figured these guys would at least do that. But I didn't see any clips of these guys doing that. And man, you know what? My respect goes down, because we all know, anybody that's a gigging guitar player knows there's stuff you can play at home, and then there's the stuff you can play on the gig. When you get to the gig, depending on what you have that night in your tank, that is how you're going to play that night, depending on what's in the tank that night. And sometimes that's why bands start out the night with a warm-up tune. Here's a warm-up tune. What's a warm-up tune? A warm-up tune would be, playing a blues, or playing Mr. Magic, or playing Sissy Strut, or playing, one of these easy, So What. If you're a jazz player, it might be playing So What, a song with, 2 key centers. These are warm-up songs. Why do you do a warm-up song? Because, one, loading your gear and doing all that exerts a lot of energy. It also is not easy on the hands. And you get to the gig, man, sometimes you don't have time to warm up. Sometimes it's a throw and go, and you've got to throw your gear up on stage and go. And so playing a warm-up song enables you to see, the song's easy. You don't have to worry about the chord changes, or you don't have to worry about the tempo or any of that stuff. But to see what you have on your tank, everybody in the band will get a little solo just to warm up. You see what you have in the tank that night, man. You hope that your facility is all there, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes you start playing and go, whoa, I just tried to play this fast lick and it didn't come out. I had to adjust at the last second. And you could find that happening all night. You could find that, man, I just don't have it tonight. But what I do have is I have my ears and my heart. And so you adjust your playing. You are always, when you're playing live, you're always adjusting your playing. You're always, thinking about, at least I was thinking about, how can I make this better? How can I play better? How can I make my tone better? You're sometimes making quick adjustments on the fly, on your rig. You're listening to what you're doing. You're listening to what the band's doing. You're listening to, is the drummer rushing? Is the drummer dragging? All of these different things, right? And by doing that, you're becoming a better player. It's real easy to dial in a sound that's mix ready and everything at home. But then, have your rig, take it to the gig, and maybe you dialed in your rig without the band, without the venue, and you get to the venue, and all of a sudden that sound that you thought was a huge, incredible guitar sound, all of a sudden with all the other frequencies of all the other instruments around it, all of a sudden your tone is not that good, or maybe your tone doesn't work well in that room. Maybe it's a very bright room with a lot of bright reflection, and you've got to dial out some of that high end. Or maybe the room has a huge kind of low end rumble to it, and you've dialed in way too much low end to your guitar signal. Look, don't forget, people, that guitar is a mid-range instrument. The thing with scooping out mids, I know even a Fender amp, tonally, it kind of scoops out the mids, but man, mids are important to your sound. So don't just negate them and go into instant Metallica mode, because, unless you're playing in a Metallica tribute act, you're going to want some mid-range in your sound. It is mid-range, right? Guitar is a mid-range instrument. But man, you learn so much playing live. Every time I played live, I learned something. Every time I had to make on-the-fly adjustments. Every time I had to see what I had in the tank. And there were a few times where everything fell together and I played what I thought was a perfect performance. But those are rare. Those are rare. I wasn't able to go, hey, can we run that back? Hey guys, sorry, I made a mistake in the second bar. We're going to play this song again. There is no redo live. The mistakes come and the mistakes go. And the best you can do is try to find some gingerly way to skirt around the fact that you made a mistake. If you make a mistake while soloing on an improvised tune, man, that's easy to cover, man. Play it twice and act like you meant it. But if you're making a mistake in a song that needs to be played note for note, man, just hope that not too many people heard it, and try not to make a big stink about it. Try not to go, hopefully the people in the band don't point it out in a very egregious way, and just move on. But that's the reality of playing live. There is no redo. Now, I started realizing, playing live is a young man's game. And when I would leave BB King's and I'd be dragging my tube amp and my pedal board and my two guitars on my back, and I'm 40 some years old, trudging through the cobblestone part of the streets, downtown Nashville off of 2nd Avenue, pulling my stuff up a hill, realizing I'm a target for anybody that wants to try to rob me. And I'm pulling up the street, and I hear the strains from another club, a blues club around the corner. My blues club had just closed. Now this other one was raging till 3 a.m. And I'm hearing the strains of some of the same songs that I was playing. And I realized, you know what? When my day is done, the music will continue on. And there are guys down there now continuing, playing some of the same songs, playing some of the same grooves, enjoying themselves, playing with musicians in Nashville right now. The music continues on. Some of us walk away after a few years. Some of us walk away after 3 decades, like me, 30 years in Nashville. Do I miss playing live? Yes, I miss playing live. Do I wish I had a cavalcade of great musicians that I could call? And do I wish I had a couple of venues that I could book some gigs and keep the live chops up? Yes, absolutely. But until I find that right club, until I find that right group of musicians, man, I'm perfectly content now, focusing on this channel on YouTube. I realize playing live is a young man's game. And even playing, used to think that wedding bands were older dudes in tuxedos and all that kind of thing. And then I started realizing when I played a wedding band showcase and all the other bands were filled with 20-year-olds in sparkly jackets and twirling around and all this kind of nonsense. And I realized, man, I'm the old man in the room now. I'm the old dude. Maybe at some point it'll be time for me to get on my horse and ride off into the sunset.